Yo, what is up, you guys? Hope the partying like every day is your birthday, because we got another one for you guys today. And no, I'm not going goth. I just got out the shower, bro, so you know my hair's a little bit to the side a little bit, so bear with me on that. But we do got another video for you guys today. Now this one was requested by you, but I just really hope I can find the comment, dude. This one was requested probably a couple of days ago, and it is a longer video, so I haven't got the time to get around to it. I don't know, you guys, if this is going to be a one-part or a two-part series for this video, so I guess we're just going to have to see what happens, man. We got the darkest adventure time moments, and this is going to be really interesting to see because, you know, when I'm a jit, probably a lot of these things, especially Adventure Time, bro, that was one of the more OG shows, and I wasn't fully conscious about my surroundings of life, bro, until probably like high school. Like, on me, y'all, I probably didn't even look into a mirror until high school. Real shit. Like, in middle school, bro, I didn't give a shit what I couldn't even tell you what I looked like in middle school, bro. Except for having a buzz cut. That's pretty much the only thing I do remember. It's probably why I wasn't looking in the mirror too much. But, we're gonna hop right into this and, see these darkest moments of Adventure Time. See if we can see some stuff that passed over our head.
It's crazy to think that Adventure Time ended almost 2
This video was by The Round Table. Make sure y'all go show him some love. New person we're going to be reacting to too, so hopefully he's coming in with some heat.
years ago at this point. And although we have Distant Lands, there will be nothing quite like that original
Distant Lands
that left us with one of the greatest cartoons of our generation, if not of all time. One thing that made Adventure Time so incredibly special was how weird it was. Unapologetically so. The show that seemed at the surface to be about a boy and his dog turned out to be so much more, as we got to know more about the world, the land of Ooh, and overall just the incredibly deep lore.
It's Princess Peach!
And Adventure Time is ultimate proof that looks can be deceiving. On the surface,
damn,
this
Jake, play them
colorful, happy
cheeks.
Cartoon is in actuality anything but.
Bro, the zombie one?
Paradise, but a post-apocalyptic.
One of the best episodes, the zombie one, when Jake was like going in the tube trying to get unzombified. That shit was heat.
Apocalyptic wasteland, and pretty much everything in this universe has some strange dark origin. It's one of the most interesting and creative worlds in fiction, period. But for a show this weird, Adventure Time certainly had its darker moments. And that's exactly what I want to talk about today. We are counting down 10 of the darkest Adventure Time moments. Now, before I start, a few guidelines. Adventure Time has had plenty of dark moments throughout its run, so this clearly is not the quintessential list.
Is that Peach?
Dark moments that we thought stood out. And dark has
the card game! Dude, I used to be a GOAT at that card game. I'm gonna let y'all know, bro. I was that dude. My cards were such high level, bro. That was one of the best app games on the phone of all time. I might have to re-download that. That was one of the best app games of all time. I don't care what nobody says.
Just 10 dark moments that we thought stood out. And dark has a lot of meanings. It could be metaphorical, or scary moments, or just completely WTF moments that caught us off guard. So, without further ado, let's get started.
You were right all along, Fern.
The Heart Guy.
Now I'm going to cut out Princess Bubblegum's heart and make out with it.
This is an early Adventure Time Season 1 staple, one of the first episodes of the show, Ricardo
Yeah,
the
that's a
Heart
lot
Guy,
darker than I
back in the
remember.
days where Fern was still pursuing Princess Bubblegum, before she got her much-deserved happy ending with Marceline. It's crazy to think how different the show was back then.
What?
This was definitely a precedent.
Dude, I didn't watch all the episodes. What? Her and Marceline ended up together?
This is an early Adventure Time Season 1 staple, one of the first episodes of the show, Ricardo the Heart Guy, back in the days where Fern was still pursuing Princess Bubblegum, before she got her much-deserved happy ending with Marceline.
No, man, what? Bro, that's crazy, bro, because what's crazy is Jake liked both of those females, man. Neither of them deserved him anyway. Or Finn. Jake the dog and Finn the human. Yeah, definitely Finn.
It's crazy to think how different the show was back then, but this was definitely a precedent for how weird Adventure Time was gonna get. Ricardo was a smooth-talking gentleman who was wooing over Princess Bubblegum, much to the dismay of Finn, who was sure that he was a villain. He began scoping out the scene, only to realize that maybe he had the wrong idea and it was just jealousy, as Ricardo looked like a completely clean individual. That's when he found out the dark secret behind his existence. Ricardo is actually the living form of Ice King's heart, in an experiment gone wrong in an attempt to get Princess Bubblegum's love. The creepiest thing about this whole thing is seeing frail Ice King completely missing his heart. It's terrifying to look at. They eventually track him down and defeat him, only for him to have to crawl back inside the empty hole in Ice King's chest, which again is also really gross to watch. Everything about this makes me uncomfortable. His whole realistic face, the fact that Ice King's heart isn't shaped like a normal heart but instead a cartoon one, we won't get into the logic of that. But the most unsettling thing of all was his soothing deep voice. This guy, I'm just not a fan.
Number 9.
And then maybe Betty, my princess, maybe you will love me again. Please love me again, Betty.
Now, I'm going to be talking a lot about Ice King on this list, just a warning, because he honestly encompasses a lot of what's really interesting and dark about the show, but I want to start with one of the craziest moments in all of Adventure Time, Simon Petrikoff's tapes from Holly Jolly Secrets. Now, this was huge because up until this point watching the show, this came completely out of nowhere. The Ice King, who at this point was this mythical ice wizard, had absolutely no backstory, nor a reason to have one. It wasn't really a mystery anyone was questioning, so that's why it hit like a ton of bricks when we find out through the Ice King's secret tape that he was not always a crazy ice wizard.
Is that Ice King?
A human named Simon Petrikoff, who actually found the crown that would later scare away the love of his life and cause him to descend into madness, along with keeping him alive throughout the events of the Great Mushroom War. It opened the Pandora's box of how complicated Ice King's character was and how complicated he was going to get from here on out.
Dude, damn, I missed y'all some episodes, cause OG me, y'all, a cable kid, bro. If you don't know about the red and the white and the yellow, the wire, you weren't an OG. I'm sorry, you weren't an OG. Y'all don't know about that big brick on the back of your TV. But I had to watch these shows on cable, dude. So it wasn't like you could save that bitch and watch it another time. You'd have to stay up and watch all the episodes or else you'd be missing them. And you know my parents were at 10 o'clock bedtime when I was legit. I wasn't able to stay up with all the good shows.
And it exposed the fact that he's a lot more complicated than just an annoying villain. There's many sides to him. Suddenly, fans had a reason to feel bad. And there's something absolutely chilling about these home videotapes that he filmed, slowly descending into madness. It was an incredibly real moment that I'm sure nobody was expecting from a Christmas special.
That one's going in the vault. And
Sealed.
it's gone.
So this is another crazy episode of Adventure Time, and you can tell from the very first scene that it's going to be pretty dark after Finn and Jake are mysteriously invited to a mysterious dinner. I mean, they literally kill
The
off
murder
someone in the
mystery
first 12
dinner!
minutes. When they find out they can't leave the house, Finn tries to track down who the murderer is. And okay, I'm not gonna lie, I get that the premise is kind of dark, but that's not why this episode is on this list. I'm not talking about the actual premise of the episode where Jake double crosses Finn's plan to prank him with a fake dinner party. Instead, I'm talking about one specific
Best
moment
prank
where
ever,
Finn's
though.
completely alone after everybody supposedly died, and he's running through the house, and we see the terrifying ghost girl. Now, the show would later go on to explain how this is Finn's past life Shoko, but in that moment, we had no idea who this person was, and this is a terrifying image, arguably. Especially considering that none of the other characters knew what it was, and at that point, it was just a really scary thing that happened to Finn. On top of that, there's plenty of horrifying moments in this episode. Lumpy Space Princess getting trapped in a painting's pretty dark, but not as dark as Princess Bubblegum literally melting. To me, the creepiest thing is the fact that there was just this empty mansion sitting there, completely operational and furnished.
That
Who
thing
lived
looks
there? Where
way
did it go?
better.
Adventure Time's a show.
Damn. Whoever built that shit, bro, low-key was smart with it, bro. Spent very little on the outside, but hella amounts on the inside. Because I don't know about you. I'd rather my inside being nicer than my outside, bro. Because y'all bitches looking in. I'm the one sitting in it.
Getting trapped in a painting's pretty dark, but not as dark as Princess Bubblegum literally melting. To me, the creepiest thing is the fact that there was just this empty mansion sitting there, completely operational and furnished. Who lived there? Where did they go? Adventure Time's a show that makes less sense the more you think about it.
I don't want to think about it, dude.
I'm so alone. Won't somebody tell me what's wrong with me? Anybody?
This episode is as dark as it is sad. It's not overtly scary or anything, but instead exposes the complexities of having a deep relationship with somebody with crippling mental illness. Ice King was always quirkily crazy, but it wasn't until this episode that we really saw that his insanity was something that wasn't overtly funny, but instead incredibly dark. And this was told through the story of Marceline, who up until that point, we didn't really know had that much of a past together. They were both mythical creatures that had survived through the Mushroom War hundreds of years, so it made sense that they knew each other at some point, but this episode really exposed how close they were. Simon took care of Marceline when she was very young and lost, as they were two survivors of the Great Mushroom War. But sadly, Simon went insane and turned into the Ice King. Now, on paper, that's pretty dark, but this episode specifically, through the use of song and really deep conversations, moves you in an emotional way I didn't think Adventure Time could. There's been cases made that the Ice King represents mental health conditions such as bipolar disorder or especially dementia, and the tragic thing is, this is a real-life problem that a lot of people face. As people get older, these health conditions become more and more of a risk, along with being one of the hardest things to watch, which is exactly what Marceline has to do. In the beginning, she reacted to Ice King with frustration, but that frustration soon turned to a sad realization that her friend is gone.
The hell is Ice King doing back there?
Not to mention the beautiful music by Rebecca Sugar. The song Remember You is honestly iconic and still makes me tear up to this day. And this episode is proof that Adventure Time isn't afraid to go to some dark places in order to tell a beautiful story.
And what's crazy is, bro, all this stuff flew over my head when I was a kid.
Oh no. Yeah.
Now, I could go on and on about how dark Fern is as a character. A strange combination of Finn's grass sword and Finn's Finn sword. There's a deep lore with Finn swords, it's crazy. Ended up producing a clone version of Finn made entirely out of grass, who had a serious identity crisis. He began to get jealous of the real Finn's life as he viewed himself as Finn just as much as him. This all came into a climax when Fern decided to kidnap the real Finn and lock him in a dungeon forever so that he could go and replace his life. The thing with Fern is that he was never really overtly malicious. In fact, more often than not, you just felt bad for him. Imagine the crazy identity crisis that comes with finding out you're a clone of somebody else. It's crazy stuff. But this episode takes an incredibly dark turn when Finn breaks out of his dungeon prison and him and Fern begin to fight. This is when we see how kind of straight up evil Fern can be, and the two fight pretty much to the death. The reason this gets so dark is because Finn does have a genuine moment when he asks Fern to stop, basically saying that things don't have to end in a deadly way. But before Fern even gets the opportunity to consider this or answer the question, Finn's arm goes off accidentally, murdering Fern in cold blood, grinding him down to just pure grass. If that's not dark enough in concept alone,
dude just mowed the lawn with him.
Just laying there realizing what he's done, followed up by the cold ending of him shuffling into the treehouse, saying absolutely nothing, again coming to terms with the fact that he murdered somebody, the shot through the window of them silently consoling him. This is truly one of the darkest moments in all of Adventure Time. Finn is at his heart a hero, and he has the hero mentality of only slaying bad guys or monsters, but Fern's situation was so morally gray, and they could have worked something out. The fact that he killed him unintentionally is the darkest part. Now, Fern does end up coming back and playing a role later on in the series, and you might say, oh, that makes this scene not as dark, but that's where you're wrong.
This man Fern went through some heartbreak, bro. Holy shit. Man got hella swole. He felt that blade like no tomorrow,
now,
dude.
Fern does end up coming
got
back
hella swole in the afterlife.
On in the series, and you might say, oh, that makes this scene not as dark, but that's where you're wrong, because in the finale, Fern dies for real, and that is just one of the saddest moments in all of Adventure Time. All in all, Fern is one of the most morally and emotionally complex characters in Adventure Time. He's such an interesting character, and to watch his progression through the series is something really amazing, but this moment right here, of Finn lying in the grass, covered in Fern's remains, is one of the darkest in the series.
Whoa! Alternate Wishworld Finn is mad uglies. Dang, I'm mad uglies too!
Now, I'm going to go ahead and group these two episodes together because I feel like they're really part of the same package. In my opinion, these are two of the most interesting episodes in Adventure Time lore, as it showed what would have happened if there was no Great Mushroom War. This all happened because the Lich, after stealing Billy's body, tricked Finn and Jake into getting him to Prismo, the Wish Granter, and he wishes for the extinction of all life, that tricky Lich. Luckily, Finn and Jake are there, and Finn makes a rash wish without thinking, which leads him to go to his own wish reality, where Finn the human is just a human. Jake is a regular dog, he has parents, he comes from humble farm beginnings. We even see alternate versions of Ice King and Marceline. Marceline being really old at this point.
Marceline!
She was in the show. And Simon actually sacrificing himself to make sure the bomb doesn't go off. Now, this is just a really interesting what-if episode, and it gives us more insight about the Mushroom War, which is always captivating to me. But the episode gets dark when Finn tries to fight off a rival gang. With his back against the wall, and the gang bringing down his village and almost killing his family, it's Finn who puts on Ice King's crown and actually goes insane. What's even darker is that Finn actually causes the bomb to go off, starting the events of the Mushroom War. They cannot catch a break. There's no timeline where somebody doesn't go crazy from this crown and this bomb doesn't go off. Finn literally inadvertently creates the Lich in a disturbing scene where he bursts out of Jake's mutilated body. Are you convinced that this is dark yet? This is as disturbing as it gets, guys.
Nah, this
Besides
shit
the base
is
level
deep.
of how crazy the situation is, it's a lot darker when you consider it in the context of the show. Finn, the person who's always trying to be the hero, who's trying to take down the Lich, ends up destroying the world and creating the one thing that he tried to stop, losing his dog in the process, though he does save his donkey Barbar.
Ain't nobody give a shit about that donkey
Hearing
Barbar.
Finn talk in that crazy Ice King voice is really weird to see. Thank God Jake figured out the solution and did it. And we got to meet Prisma, who is one of my favorite characters in all of the show, so it was kind of a net win, but still, this is a very dark episode.
These are definitely all the episodes after 10.
Nobody knows your name.
Simon and Marcy. Now, I know I keep talking about these two specific characters, but they do encompass some of the darkest moments on the show, and this is one of the greatest episodes of Adventure Time, period. I simply could not do this list without mentioning it. Simon and Marcy finally gives us a glimpse into the long
VHS tape
of Simon Petrikov and the young Marceline, along with finally showing us in detail what the world looked like after the events of the Great Mushroom War. They're literally walking through a post-apocalyptic wasteland in this episode. There's no Candy Kingdom yet, instead humans were turned into these dark radioactive monster zombies. Now the idea of an apocalypse
Damn,
is
man,
something that
beating them
looms
with the
over all of
crown.
Adventure Time, so that's not why I'm talking about it. Instead, like the other interactions with Ice King and Marceline, this episode is incredibly dark in a psychological way. Simon is doing everything in his power to keep Marceline safe. In fact, the whole point of the episode is him trying to get chicken soup after she becomes ill. But that safety comes at a price. The only thing keeping Simon alive and his only self-defense is the crown that's making him slowly go insane. So this entire episode he grapples with his want to keep Marceline safe and his fear of scaring her away. In fact, every time he tries to use the crown, Marceline begs him not to, and even though Simon knows how badly it's hurting him, he sacrifices his mental sanity in order to keep Marceline safe. This all comes
Wow,
together in the
dude.
final scene of the episode, one of the darkest and most tender, when the two have their backs against the wall in an alleyway.
Can we pause? Press that bitch like 3 times. Dude, I kind of wish I didn't watch this video, you guys, man. I just didn't realize all of this stuff that I, just didn't peep as a kid, man. Got me feeling bad for Ice King. I used to never be a fan of Ice King and just thought he was a crazy-ass man, dude. But like I said, I never got to see those episodes where all that stuff was revealed. So it does make me feel hella bad for Brody. That's a tough situation to be put in, bro. Trying to protect someone, but at the same time not bring yourself to insanity. Damn. That's tough, dude. That's tough.
By radioactive monsters.
He a
Simon's
real one,
only
bro.
way out is to use the crown, and he tries everything in his power to not lose his mind while he's wearing it. He does this by singing the Cheers theme song, something he did with her earlier on in the episode in order to make her laugh and feel better. It's a really tender and heartfelt moment, and one of the saddest in the show. Simon knows that there's no going back, and that this is the only way to keep them safe, and he has to make the ultimate sacrifice. Not to mention the fact that even after he saves the day and gives her the chicken soup, he refers to Marceline as Gunter, showing that he really has succumbed to the crown, and he's beyond the point of no return. This episode did a lot for Adventure Time by actually showing the events that were long hinted at for the entirety of the series up until that point. And seeing it firsthand, it made us realize how dark this world really is.
Damn, we're only on number 4 with that.
Don't be
Still got
scared,
3
fam.
more.
Lumpy's on lifeguard duty.
This episode
Lumpy.
isn't dark, but it's really WTF, and I wanted to put it on this list. This episode deals with the problem of Finn being sad and horny, I guess? It's very uncomfortable. So Finn's arm is gone at this point in the series, and it's just a flower, but he's dealing with actual emotional problems where he just doesn't feel anything anymore. So his answer to that is to go around randomly making out with princesses, along the way up
Yeah, I definitely don't remember that episode. Man, maybe it's a good thing I wasn't able to stay up past 10 o'clock watching these shits, dude.
Bee named Breezy becomes obsessed with his flower and really wants to pollinate it. Though the whole situation
wanna
is very
pollinate his
strange,
flower.
She decides to help Finn get with women so that she can get to his flower. Now look, this on its own is very weird, but I want to talk about one moment that scarred me forever, that I never thought would happen. After Finn goes around doing what he refers to as making out with princesses, when in reality he's really just giving them a kiss on the cheek, he meets up with Lumpy Space Princess, who tells him that he's not doing it right. We see one of the most uncomfortable shots in all of Adventure Time history, and then we cut to black, only to cut to Finn waking up. Nah, I'm not trying to infer here. They were definitely hinting at something more than kissing going on here. I don't even know. It felt like a weird Adventure Time fanfiction, and this is one of my least favorite episodes of the show.
Nah, Lumpy!
Like a super bee or something, and Finn gets his arm back, I guess. Breezy gets the flower. Like I said, this is just soaked in metaphor. They're obviously trying to talk about something deeper here. But I'm talking solely about the fact that they even alluded to Lumpy Space Princess and Finn having a sexual experience. And I'm not trying to look like I inferred too much or I'm creating a narrative.
What?
Happen. But if you watch the scene for yourself and don't feel at least a little bit uncomfortable, well, I don't know what to say.
Dude piped Lumpy.
This is another segment where I want to talk about 2 episodes.
Ain't no way,
specifically
boy.
Mortal Folly and Mortal Recoil, the penultimate episodes of Season 2, basically the Season 2 finale. This episode introduced basically the main antagonist of Adventure Time, the Lich, who is one of the darkest parts of the show. The Lich stemmed from the Great Mushroom War. In fact, he came from the original bomb that exploded, and he represents death and evil and just all that good stuff. Mortal Folly, the first part, is pretty dark on its own. We get to see some post-apocalyptic wasteland, including a subway where
you know what's one, you guys, I do hope to see in this list, which I don't know if we will for sure. Do you guys remember the episode of, when Jake and Finn had to go to hell to talk to Marcy's dad? That shit was pretty dark, too.
The bomb apparently went off. Something about seeing a subway filled with human skeletons and knowing the reason why, without outright acknowledging it, is the darkest thing they could have done. But I want to talk about the episode that follows it, Mortal Recoil. After Princess Bubblegum is dropped into the Lich as well, she's not doing good. As horrifying as it was to see her melted, they were able to save her, but they soon find that she's not the normal princess they remember. Now, when they were originally making this episode, they were worried that having the main location kind of being Princess Bubblegum's bedroom would be sort of boring. So they decided to fill it with as many disturbing and psychologically horrifying things that they could. And boy, they did. Possessed by the Lich, her body snapping in horrifying ways, it's pretty scary.
That bee needs an exorcism!
The fact that Finn literally and naively gets her all the ingredients to make another Lich as well, leading to Princess Bubblegum turning into a horrifying monster that they're able to stop, but then dies again. Her body has been put through so much trauma at this point. She was literally dismembered like 3 separate times.
Oh my goodness,
Now they were able to
Princess
save her,
Peach.
obviously, but if you remember, she ends up only being 13, leading to our absolute king, the Ice King, to dip out because he's not trying to catch a case. And Finn has to do the Bubblegum. It's a happy ending, but a very dark episode.
Bro's like, you know what? I'm gonna head out
I just
then.
want to take a second to talk about some honorable mentions that didn't make it on this list. Again, this list is in no particular orders, but these were moments that were dark, just not dark enough to make it into the top 10. Episodes like Goliad, where Finn and Jake are trying to teach a candy sphinx how to be a good person, only for Goliad to realize how powerful they really are and try to take over the Candy Kingdom. Something about a childlike voice coming out of this weird creature with a hanging eyeball, realizing how powerful they really are.
That was a creepy one
It
for
was
sure.
a freaky moment.
No, princess. This is my castle now.
Also, I want to take a moment to acknowledge Cookie Princess. Cookie Princess was about an orphan from the Candy Kingdom named Baby Snaps, who takes a gas station hostage in order to try to be a princess, which is all he's ever really wanted. He has a sad backstory and at one point tries to commit suicide before ending up in a mental hospital. Definitely one of the darkest episodes of Adventure Time for sure.
Damn.
At least for a moment, you helped me feel like a princess. It was wonderful. Thank you, Jake.
And finally, an episode that I never saw as overtly dark, but more psychologically so. All the Little People, in which Finn receives a bag of little versions of all of his friends that he begins to play around with, kind of physically shipping them. What's dark about this episode is the fact that it takes place over multiple months, and Finn's descent into madness as he realizes he's meddled with and screwed up all of his friends' lives.
I'm back! I got over all that messed up stuff you did. Yeesh. You okay, man?
But that being said, I wanted to give these moments a shout out before going to our final moment.
Bro, it gotta be the devil one.
Stop being crazy!
Adventure Time, for as weird and dark as its deep lore goes, actually gave us its darkest episode unrelated to any plot or lore. It was just a one-off.
Damn, that is a scary looking place, dude. I don't think this is the devil one, but I hope he does do a part 2 with it, because I remember that shit was crazy, bro. There was like a line of people on their way to hell and stuff like that. It was a wild one. It was a wild one. Same with the zombie one. The zombie one? That one was pretty crazy too.
Adventure Time, for as weird and dark as its deep lore goes, actually gave us its darkest episode unrelated to any plot or lore. It was just a one-off. And that's what makes it so weird. This is one of the most, if not the most infamous episodes of Adventure Time just because of how
Jake is looking
dark
hella
and twisted it
creepy,
was.
dude.
The episode begins with Finn and Jake trying to take down a simple enemy, a deer, but they end up losing the fight. Jake hits his head, and
They
Finn's
lost to a
legs get
deer?
snapped. Like, you literally see them break. It's terrifying. Leading to him waking up in the hospital. He's not sure what happened and he goes out to explore, only to find that the entire candy kingdom is
Holy
gone.
shit!
Luckily though, he finds Jake, but slowly realizes that this is not the Jake he remembered. Instead, Jake has actually gone insane, and Finn had been in a coma for 6 months. Now, if this is starting to sound like a cartoon,
It's a real good thing I didn't see some of these episodes, bro. That better have me having nightmares as a kid. Grew up scarred for life. Good thing I only saw it. I mean, there was a few ones I saw that were pretty dark that probably just flew over my head, like the zombie one and all that good stuff, bro. But some of these are crazy. If I saw this man, Finn, get his leg snapped by a deer, little old me would have been just sitting on the couch like, in shell shock.
Down a simple enemy, a deer, but they end up losing the fight. Jake hits his head.
How'd he
and
lose
Finn's
to a
legs get
deer?
snapped. Like, you literally see them break. It's terrifying. Leading to him waking up in the hospital. He's not sure what happened and he goes out to explore, only to find that the entire candy kingdom is gone. Luckily though, he finds Jake, but slowly realizes that this is not the Jake he remembered. Instead, Jake has actually gone insane, and Finn had been in a coma for 6 months. Now, if this is starting to sound like a cartoon creepypasta, that's because it basically is. And we see horrifying scenes like bugs crawling out of Jake's ear. There's something so
hell no!
twisted about Jake going crazy and Finn having to come to terms with the fact that his friend is gone. If you don't think that's weird enough, the episode kicks it into hyperdrive. Finn eventually locates the deer who caused all the trouble and tracks him down to the sewers, only for him to find out that she has kept the entire candy kingdom imprisoned in this weird sap thing for no apparent reason.
What kind of deer is that?
When the deer literally takes off its hooves and reveals that it has human hands. Ugh, I can't look at this. This makes me so uncomfortable. Finn ends up defeating the deer. Jake hits his head again, somehow reversing the insanity. It's Adventure Time logic. And the deer falls into the sewer.
Adventure Time logic.
But still, this
bro, that better not been on that like that for a while. No worries, bro. We all good. We all Gucci. Hold on, y'all. Let me get a little stretch in real quick. Damn, man. Ooh, that felt good.
Episode leaves us with way more questions than it answers. It never explains who the deer was or what his plan was, and it completely glosses over the terrifying reality of this whole thing taking place over 6 months. What makes this episode so dark and weird is how no one acknowledges how truly dark it is, and that's why I think it deserves the #1 spot. Those deer hands, man, they keep me up at night. So there you have it, guys. Those were 10 of the darkest Adventure Time moments. Some were weirder than others, but I think we can safely say this show is an absolute trip to watch. With more Adventure Time.
Oh my god, dude! I'm not gonna lie, you guys. The things I would do, bro. Imagine y'all going back, like being 20 years old, but at the same time, all right, that kind of sounds weird. Imagine being, I don't know. It would be. I don't know if I would change my experience watching the show, but imagine watching all these like trippy ass shows now when you're way older and like going back to them when you were a kid. If that was your first time watching it, that would be some crazy stuff. But honestly, I'm glad I watched these shows when I did, because I feel like they helped me grow up and they made me have an awesome ass childhood, man. I'll say it once and I will say it again, bro. The 2000 kids had the best shows growing up, bro. I'm sorry, I don't give a shit what none of y'all gotta say, bro. OG Teen Titans, regular show, you know what I'm saying? Good Luck Charlie, Liv and Maddie, back when we was jits, Jesse, Zach and Cody, Sweet Life on Deck. I'm trying to think of all of them off the top of my head, dude. There's a lot of them. But we definitely had the best shows growing up. Now the bullshit that they got for kids, God bless them, man. Bless the kids growing up nowadays. They got all these trash ass shows they gotta grow up with. What the hell? And what's sad is, bro, they think that shit's fire. They truly probably think that them shows they watching is hella heat. But they just don't know. They just don't even know. They don't. Hope you guys did enjoy that one, man. Shout out to the Round Table. We're definitely going to be checking out a lot more of his videos. Super, super cool take right there. And really enjoyed watching that video, man. If you guys got any other videos you want to see from him, let me know down in the description and I will check them out. Hopefully he's okay with that, man. So make sure y'all go show him some love. Let him know the B-Day gang sent you. You guys have a great rest of your day, man. Deuces.